our topic is transforming career aspirations into actionable goals, which is basically goal setting. And we're going to break that down again to, do you want better, more, or different? And I think we can all answer that question, right? I wanted to make sure it was something easy that we can all follow or apply to or relate to. Okay. All right. So first step in goal setting is clarifying your career goals. And again, what we're looking at is envisioning where you're at right now. What do you see and where do you want to be? Is it something different? Is it something more? Is it something better? And depending on where you're at in your career, sometimes that can be as small as a promotion, or sometimes it could be a track that we see within the same current company that we're in, the organization, or for those who answered, I want something different, that could be a career pivot. Ask yourself this. And if you want to write this down, I encourage you, this one question: do you want better, more, or different? Because we're going to keep going back to that question. That is the core of goal setting for today. For those who are saying, no, I don't want anything better, more, or different, well, this is probably not the webinar for you. But for those who want to end 2024 in a different place as far as your career is concerned, then your answer is yes. And so we're going to go through this together. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is sharpen your skills. When you decide that this is something you do want, let's ask these questions. Where are you today? Because I think the first part in determining that you do want to be somewhere else is determine where you're at in the present. Where are you at today in your career? And where do you want to be? Because if you want to get from point A to point B, there's things you have to do in the middle, right? And that is sharpen your skills. Expand your skill set towards to achieving that goal that you're setting for yourself. And one of the things that you have to do is be proactive about that. This is your life. This is your plan. If you're not working your life plan, no one else is, right? And think about that. If you are not working your life plan, who is? I've asked people this before, and sometimes it's a little jarring when they think of it that way, that if you're not working towards your life goal every single day, no one's working it. Nothing's happening that day. Okay. So where are you at today and where do you want to be? You're going to have to assess your current skills and your performance. And Rachel, if you can just drop the tools that we use for self-assessment to sharpen your skills to figure out what you need, is administered by the Department of Labor. We use onetonline.org and Career One Stop. Those are assessments. And for those of you who've not ever done assessment, it's a great place to begin to assess. It's an exploration stage. It'll ask you a series of questions. It's as simple as, do you like working with people or do you not like working with people? And sometimes all these little questions will lead you exactly to uncover skills and goals that you didn't realize that you had. Assessments will help you identify weaknesses and areas for improvement. And of course, again, we go back to, do you want better, more, or different? Is to become better, more, or different, we have to become better, more, and different. And we do that in regards to our career, we do that through skill building, okay? And then how are you going to build these skills? Well, you have to be proactive about acquiring these skills. And one of the best ways that you can build your new skills is through volunteering, getting into the trenches. And I think of it as just dipping your toe and trying out a new industry, because nonprofit organizations are very welcoming to those who want to try and learn about the causes that they support. So if you are looking to learn about new skills, try a nonprofit organization and look for roles that you want to learn and go into. Okay, and let me just give you an example, because some people say, well, what does that mean exactly? Well, for those who want to go into transportation and logistics, right? Transportation and logistics is about supply chain, and mainstream companies that come to mind would be like a Costco or a Walmart or large e-commerce companies. If you're looking to learn about supply chain, you can volunteer for organizations that take in large donations, like Red Cross, Goodwill, food banks during the holidays are big places. There you will be able to rub shoulders and elbows with those already established in the field and learn. Okay, so something like that. All right, of course, you can also invest in training and workshops and on-the-job learning. All right, so that's how you sharpen your skills. But I also want to leave you some more questions that you can ask yourself to see if this is the right path for you. Is who do you want to become? What does this person you envision do? What do they know? What do they have to learn? So finding the place where you want to be, your point B. Your point A is where you're at now. Your point B is how will you get there? What do you need to acquire? And then, of course, there's going to be gaps in learning, right? And that's what we need to fill in. What do you need to learn? Where do you get how do you fill these gaps? And then more importantly, I get asked, I need to know, how do I know what companies will value my skills? And one of the things I always talk about and is it's something that's not talked about often is your career ecosystem. Once you determine that you want better, more, or different, you got to figure out where that is. And of course, nobody ever wants to start off as an entry level because entry level means you get entry level pay. And when you've spent 5, 10, 15, 20 years building a career, you want to be able to leverage all that experience and skills. So let's look at your career ecosystem. Your career ecosystem is every role outside of what you do. It is everyone in your department, your organization, your industry that's working together to put the same, to put the product or service, bring it to market. You're all talking about the same skills. You're all practicing the same skills. You're all speaking the same language. For example, if you no longer want to do what you're doing, find someone, a company in your ecosystem. That could be a vendor. That could be the customer's point of view. That could be somebody else, supply chain agent. Or it could be a federal government agency that oversees regulatory, if that's the type of industry you're in. You're all speaking the same language, working together to put the same product or service to market. That is your career ecosystem. Because if you would, an employer of, let's say, the supplier would find value in you if you're coming from the customer's point of view or the government's point of view, you are bringing in value. You will be bringing value to that role. Okay, that is your career ecosystem. If you have questions about career ecosystem, or at some point I say something that you want to know something specifically about and how it applies to you, please reach out to Career Services and ask to speak to your industry coach. Okay, just dropping that there. All right, so let's go on to the next slide, which is professional network. Okay, so the question you ask here is, who do you need to meet and where will you meet them? That's professional networking. You need to connect with professionals in that field because you are slowly becoming one of them. That is, you want to start morphing towards that industry, right? So you're going to want to meet people already established in that field and hopefully meet a mentor, right? And one of the things that I love LinkedIn for is as a research tool. LinkedIn is social media, and no, it's not where you put where you're at, what you're doing, what you're having for dinner. That's not what LinkedIn is for. LinkedIn is your digital calling card as a professional. It is not a cut and paste of your resume. So if you need assistance putting together your LinkedIn, again, I dropped this request to speak with your industry coach. Okay, send us a request to careerservices@apus.edu. Okay, so who do you need to meet in order to help you get to where you want to be, or to the person or where you want to be, what you want to become? All right, so utilize LinkedIn for that. Look for people already established in that field. Join groups. LinkedIn has groups for everything. We coaches belong to career coaching, career counseling, anything that has to do with employment. Okay, connect with these groups. Be in the know of what the discussions are, get to know who the people are. It is easier to request to connect with somebody that you belong in a group than just out of the blue. Okay. And one of the things that I always suggest is when you have an inkling or already know what you want to become, Find 3, 4, 5 people already doing that on LinkedIn. Look at their profiles. Look for common denominators. What do they all have in common that allowed them to sit in that role that you want to be? Because if there is a common denominator, you might have to get that training, certification, experience in order to compete with them at that level. Okay. Of course, you want to attend industry events, and that can be online, that can be in person. Look, especially if you live in a metropolitan area, there's events happening all the time. Okay. And then, of course, getting involved in LinkedIn groups and discussions. Even if you're not going to be participating in the discussion, you at least will understand what's happening. And more importantly, maybe learn about discussions on innovations. Where is your industry going? That's one thing that I've always told my students that I've coached independently is understand where your industry is going, because you want to make sure you ride that wave in the front and at the back. You don't want to be preparing for a position that's going to be obsolete. Now, like I said, I've been here almost 11 years. So about 8, 9 years ago, the conversations that I had with my students was all about artificial intelligence. What is happening with artificial intelligence, and where are you seeing it be implemented in your industry? So my hope now is that most of them or all of them are somehow working with artificial intelligence, AI, in their industries because it was something that they planned for. I'm saying the same to you. Where is your industry going? Figure out where it's going to be 5, 10 years from now. Okay. The next question that we're going to ask ourselves about gaining professional visibility is, who needs to meet you? Right? Because we just answered, who do you need to meet as far as networking? Now, who needs to see you? Because now you have to create visibility in this new role, this new industry that you want. Okay. First step that I always say is update your LinkedIn profile. You need to build your brand. You need to segue your brand. LinkedIn is an easy place to do this. As a career coach, I read articles. If I find articles that are helpful to my colleagues or to my connections to students, and if you're a student here or an alumni, connect with us on LinkedIn. That way you can be in the know with whatever blast that we're sending out for events or webinars or training, anything like that. All right, but on LinkedIn, how you can train your feed to start recognizing you for a brand is to start sharing. Start sharing the articles that you are reading about your new industry. For example, I have been posting career-related articles the entire time I've been here. So those who are in my feed, not just the students, but those who I'm connected with, when they see my picture, they know that if there's an article posted, it will be something that's related to career, salary, employment, something like that. So if one day they're looking for information about rocket science, they're not going to stop at my photograph. They're not going to stop and look to see what I posted because that's not my brand. But the day that they are looking for information on career, employment, or getting job or salaries or anything like that, they will stop when they see my picture because that is what they know. Chandra, yes, this is being recorded. It will be available on YouTube in a couple days. And yes, there is a YouTube channel for career services. It's APUS Career Services. Okay, so build your brand on YouTube. For example, I have a student of ours. She was a physician. She wanted to move away from patient facing roles. She wanted to go to more administrator, higher director level. So she started posting articles that she read about the administrative aspect of medicine. And so when she finally transitioned into that field, into that role, she already had that credibility on LinkedIn because that's what she was becoming known for. Same thing for you. If you want to move into a different area, start sharing that information because that's how you build credibility, and that's how you start training your network to start recognizing you for. Okay. All right. So let's get back on on track here. Showcase relevant skills and experience, right? And we just talked a little bit about that. Start sharpening your skills. Start learning about the new role, sharing information that you're finding. Start training your network. And then if you find a mentor in that industry. And I've had students actually come back and tell me when they joined groups, they connected with some people, and some of them were able to create a quasi mentorship relationship with some people online. They can start directing you. These are professionals. Established professionals love to share their experience, right? I wouldn't necessarily go, hey, will you be my mentor? Because that sounds like a lot of responsibility. But you can open a communication channel with them and say, hey, I have a question for you if you don't mind. And then eventually there will be your go-to person for industry questions, okay? Within your organization, you're going to want to look for volunteer projects to enhance, especially if you want to take the promotional path. If volunteer opportunities are not available within your organization, look for nonprofit organizations. You want to establish yourself, right? You want to make sure that even if you're not being paid to do the job, that you are learning, you're participating, you're slowly entering into that industry. And that also enhances your visibility, especially if there are events for these nonprofit organizations. And one thing that you can do, what I've seen others do, is especially when they're going into industries that have a lot of meetings, a lot of conferences, just by showing up, you get to rub elbows with the people already established in that field, and you start being recognized for being part of that circle. Okay. Next question to ask is for seeking leadership opportunities is this is where you start training your colleagues to start seeing you, your bosses, people that you work with. If you want to move into leadership roles, you need to be seen as a leader. So look for opportunities to transform how your colleagues and managers see you, right? And again, if we were going to put that in a question form, is how can you transform how your colleagues and managers see you as a leader? If you want to be a leader, then you need to start making sure that you are being recognized as one. You want to enhance your leadership skills. You want to volunteer for leadership tasks. And I know I keep saying volunteer, and a lot of people think, well, that's outside of my organization. But there's also opportunities to volunteer within your organization. Sometimes that's just a task force. Sometimes it's for an event that's coming up, planning. Sometimes it is for even a social event. Any opportunity that you can grasp that will allow you to work with upper leadership, be noticed by upper leadership, and to learn new skills, right? And you want to be seen as a team player, a leader, a team player, and overall, in general, you just want to be seen as somebody that's going to contribute positively to the group, your team, your organization. Okay. And then you want to make sure that you keep track of these. Sometimes we forget what we've done. And then when the time comes that you have to justify why you earned something or when you're asking for something, you don't necessarily remember what you did. So ask yourself, how can you transform how your colleagues and managers see you as a leader, and what can you do? Okay. Now we're going to seek feedback from manager. Now, your manager is generally, I say this generally because not all the same for everybody, generally a support person for you, right? They want you to succeed. If you succeed, the team succeeds, the manager succeeds, the department succeeds, and overall your entire organization succeeds. Okay, so based on your personal situation, if possible, talk with your manager. And the question is that you answer here for yourself is, who can help me? Who can help you? And generally it's your manager. What does the manager need to see in you to recognize that you have potential to become a leader in the organization, right? And then also too, it's important to find out if there's potential growth within your organization. Because if your organization is small and there's no growth, I mean, you can be the best employee, but if there's no growth, then there's nowhere to go. You're going to have to seek opportunities outside, right? So who can help you and what does your manager need to see, right? Request feedback from your supervisors, colleagues, and mentors. And it doesn't necessarily have to be official or formal feedback. Just say, hey, can you give me feedback on my project? What are your thoughts? I just want to run this by you. It can be that informal. Okay. Understand the areas of excellence and improvement. What this means is you have to be realistic about where you're at. And we go back to where are you now? And if you're looking for a promotional path, you got to be able to say, I've mastered where I am, right? And that you're ready for the next step. If you haven't mastered your current position, I don't know how realistic a promotion is going to be. So be realistic and be honest with yourself. Am I ready for that next step? And you can get feedback from your current manager. And this is where you look at where you're excellent and where you need improvement. And you can even ask your colleagues, those that are parallel level with you. Sometimes you'll work with them on projects together and get some feedback on if you are seeing the right challenges and if you're submitting the right proposal perspective. And then use that feedback to enhance your performance. Okay. All right. So next is present your promotion proposal. This is where you're going to this is where our path is going to diverge for those who want to follow a promotion path and those that want to start looking for outside opportunities. This is where you're going to kind of diverge, because if there is no option for you to promote within your organization, you're going to have to start looking at outside opportunities. Okay. But the way you build your self-confidence is going to be very similar. How can you present your case? You need to be able to show your achievements and contributions, whether that's going to be an internal conversation with your manager or putting a new resume together. You need to be able to look at your achievements. And when we're looking, and this is, I'm going to touch a little bit on resumes. Your resume should be your career wows, not what you're responsible for, not your daily task. That's not going to make you stand out. Okay. So you need to be able to articulate how your skills align with the desired position. And I've seen that we only have a few minutes left here, so I'm going to speed up, but I only have one more slide, so bear with me here. Okay. You need to be able to express your interest in your career growth to your supervisor if you're taking the career path, and then discuss your aspirations for promotion. But this is not something that this is not going to come out of the blue because you've been preparing for this all this time. Okay. And if you are doing this and you need help organizing your approach, Career Services is here for you. Reach out and work with your career coach. Okay. And the last slide that we're going to cover is how do you stay on track, right? You need to be able to follow up. And I'm not talking just follow up when you apply for a job. Follow up with your mentor, follow up with your supervisor, and then most of all, follow up with yourself. You need to hold yourself accountable because you need to go back. Whenever you feel like you're lost, you need to go back to that original core question that we asked in the beginning. Do you want better, more, or different? Because when you say yes to that question, that's what's going to hold you accountable. And that hopefully is going to keep you clear, give you clarity all over again as to what you need. Because from here on, this is January, if your hope is to be in a different place come December of 2024, whether it's promotion through promotions or a different place, you need to keep yourself accountable every step of the way. Okay. And clarity. And I think that sometimes we forget when we set a goal, we all set goals in January and come February or March, we've all forgotten it. But if you want to be taken seriously, I would really stress that you remember that question. Do you want better, more, or different? Okay. So how do you stay on track? And I always go back to be intentional. Be intentional about your goal planning. Be intentional about every step that you take. Be intentional in every decision that you make, because that keeps you clear, that gives you clarity. So when you speak to a mentor, be intentional. What exactly are you wanting out of the conversations? When you speak to your manager, what do you want out of the conversation? When you are volunteering, what are you trying to learn? And one thing I want to say about volunteering, if you volunteer for an organization and they run on skeleton crew, and most nonprofit organizations do, and if they ask you to sweep the back room a couple of times, okay, because mostly they have to do that because they don't have the budget for extra staff. But If that is all they ever ask you to do and you are not learning, it is fair for you to step up and say, you know, I'm so sorry. I don't think this is the right opportunity for me because I was hoping to learn XYZ. I'm trying to get into this industry and I'm going to, and unfortunately, I'm not learning anything here. So I'm going to look for other options. That's fair because again, you need to look out for you. Okay. You have to be intentional. Let's see here. Last point, stay patient and persistent. This is not going to be fast. And you may not even get to, and December might come and go and you're not quite ready for that promotion or a career pivot, but stay focused. Okay, stay focused. If you, like I said, career services is here to guide you. And we'll call you out if you are not staying on track. Where career services is your coach, as your coaches, we're not here to just handhold you. We're going to call you out if you're not doing the job. We're not here to do it for you. We are not just your cheerleaders. We are your guide. We're coaches. We're going to be the coaches that tell you what you need to do. And if you're not doing it, then we can't help you get to the next place. So utilize us as your support group. Okay. Consistent effort over time can lead to recognition and advancement. So you know it's going to come. Again, I'm going to turn back to the question that I want you all to walk away with. Do you want better, more, or different? Okay. And Rachel has got a few bits of information of upcoming announcements. So I'm going to hand it over to her. But I see Curtis has a question. I earned a business degree at 22, have since service project management jobs. I am now 38 and have just earned a master's in space studies. Congratulations. Any advice for a civilian who is trying to move their career into space industry or anyone trying to move into a different area? That would be a question for your industry coach. Please reach out to career services at apus.edu and ask to work with a STEM coach, and that would be Taylor. Okay. You're welcome, Steve. Thank you so much. Again, we want to be here for you. If you have specific questions, we know everybody's a little bit different case by case, but we want to get you, our goal as career coaches is always to get you to the next step. So Rachel, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Rowe, and thank you so much for sharing your expertise in this. I think it was really great. Everybody, I've dropped some links into popular places that our students and alumni tend to ask us about. And as Rowe said, and as I also put in the chat, if you guys do have specific questions about your situation or how to move in your situation, there was the one person asking about career exploration. These are things we can help you with. So even if you don't know what you want, we can help you figure that out, okay? So please do reach out to us at careerservices@apus.edu if you would like to work with a coach. If you are not using your My Campus email to contact us, we do encourage you to use your primary email address on file in your student account. And for identity verification purposes, can you please include your first name, last name, student ID, and the answers to 2 of your 3 security questions. Again, if you are not using your My Campus email to contact us, and that way we can jump in and get started sooner on what it is you'd like to cover. So those links that I have put in there, those are, some of them are ours, obviously, the Career Services Events Calendar and the Career Link Job Board. I've named it Job Board just because that tends to grab everybody's attention. But if you saw some of the stuff that I was sharing earlier, Career Link is also where you can meet with your fellow students and alumni. You can ask for a mentor. You can become a mentor. We're adding things in there all the time. We are hoping to grow that entire platform. So we welcome any feedback on your experiences there, what you would like to see there. And again, we're all here to help you all. Our students, and I've mentioned alumni a lot. Our alumni, if you've completed even a certificate program with AMU or APU, you have career services eligibility for life. So please do reach out to us, even if today's not your day. 5 years from now, you want some help with something, you've graduated from us, we're happy to help you. Please come back to us.
Thanks, Rachel. And like I said, we want to be respectful of your lunch hour. We scheduled this during lunch hour because we know that you have a very busy day. And not everybody can schedule that 1 hour for coaching. So we try to squeeze in bite-sized sessions. So please look at that calendar that Rachel posted. There are upcoming webinars. She has one on federal resumes. And then I have one coming up in February on remote work and how to compete for remote work. Because as we know, people are being asked to return to the office and a lot of us are fighting it, right? And so if remote work is limited, we need to be able to compete and be able to stand from the pool of candidates. So check out our calendar for upcoming events, and other coaches have other events as well. If you're not on CareerLink yet, that has been restructured. It's new. It is our job board and it is our community. You're able to connect with us, with other students, and with employers. You just need to. Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, nope. Go for it. Keep going.
No, I say you and you. You just need to make sure that you use an email address that is tied to your student account so that you are recognized. Sorry. Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For the student who was asking about space studies, I did want to call your attention to, we do have a group coaching session coming up that Taylor is going to be hosting called Launching Your Journey in the Space Industry. That will be Wednesday, February 28th from 1:30 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find the registration information for that under the Connect tab in your CareerLink account or via using that Career Services event calendar. You should find the registration for that as well. So yeah, that should be right up your alley.
All right, well, thank you again. Rachel and I will hang back here for another couple of minutes in case you have any questions. But otherwise, thank you so much. And we hope to see you in the next webinars that we have or upcoming ones. And again, we are here to support you. So reach out whenever you have any career-related questions.